During a party, a man humiliates his own wife in front of his friends by introducing her as his personal maid while laughing. Jennifer grew up in a home where traditional values weren't a choice, but a required path. Dignity was treated as a basic principle, a foundation upon which everything else should be built. The strict upbringing she received shaped her worldview. Measured words, respectful attitudes, and marriage seen as a sacred bond meant to last a lifetime. This was what she had learned and believed in. From a young age, she carried this idea as an unquestionable truth, that love was about endurance, that respect came before passion, and that backing down was never an option in a true union. She met Anthony while still very young. He was kind, smiling, attentive. He had a simple but distinctive way about him that set him apart from others. What touched her most was how he made her feel safe, as if nothing bad could reach her while she was by his side. Their love grew quickly but firmly. It wasn't an explosion, but a natural construction, full of care, respect, and shared plans. They married with their family's blessing and soon built a home. It was a simple house without luxury, but full of affection. Over time, the small achievements came. After a few years, the news of a pregnancy arrived like a gift. For Jennifer, it was confirmation that everything was on the right track. When their daughter was born, she brought a pure, transformative joy. It was the happiest moment of her life. Nothing seemed out of place. Everything was love. But things began to change just months after their daughter's birth. Anthony, though still present, was no longer the same. The silence grew between them. It was a cold, uncomfortable silence. His eyes lost their sparkle, and gestures of affection disappeared. Only mechanical, almost obligatory actions remained. He still played with their daughter, but without enthusiasm. Something inside him had broken, and Jennifer felt it more and more. He began going out frequently, drinking, coming home late, smelling strongly of alcohol, and wearing a heavy expression. Jennifer insisted on talking, trying to understand, but he avoided any openness. Avoiding dialogue, it seemed he was running away from himself. Gradually, he started treating her with harsh indifference. There was no affection anymore, no exchange. She was just someone who took care of the house and the child. There was no place for her in Anthony's gaze or heart. And that absence, though silent, was impossible to ignore. But Jennifer did not give up. Despite the coldness, indifference, and unspoken words, she kept insisting through small gestures, trying to rekindle something that seemed no longer to exist. She kept the house in order, cared for the daughter diligently, cooked his favorite dish once in a while, waiting for a response, a look, any sign. But the days remained the same, dry, silent, harsh. It had become common to see him arrive late, enter without saying a word, and go straight to the bedroom or kitchen as if he lived there only out of obligation. Then, on a stifling Saturday afternoon, Anthony announced he would have a barbecue. "There's gonna be a barbecue here tomorrow. I invited some friends over," Anthony said, fiddling with his phone without even looking at her. Jennifer, surprised, frowned. "Friends? Which friends?" "Some co-workers, work people. It'll be simple," he said in the same distant tone as always. She no longer recognized that way of speaking. Before, he would have involved her in the plans, asked what she thought, shared the idea with excitement. Now, she just heard ready-made decisions. Jennifer didn't want to oppose. She simply nodded and began thinking about the shopping, the preparations, everything that would be needed. As always, she would take care of it alone. On the day of the party, she woke up early, tidied the house, cleaned everything, prepared side dishes, arranged the table. She took care of details, like someone trying to keep something standing, even when it was already crumbling. In the afternoon, the first guests began arriving. Jennifer watched from the kitchen. They were men she had never seen before. No familiar faces, no good energy. They were different from the old friends, from times when the house was filled with sincere laughter. Now, the laughter seemed louder than necessary, the conversations full of exaggerations and tasteless jokes. The men spoke loudly, drank quickly, and talked about things she didn't understand: business, bets, women. She felt out of place, invisible. She wandered through the house as if she wasn't really there. She grabbed a glass, picked up a plate, went unnoticed. Anthony laughed among his friends in a way she no longer knew. "Jennifer!" he shouted, calling loudly in the middle of the yard. She turned, wiped her hands on a dish towel, and went to where he was. "This here is my personal maid," Anthony said, laughing loudly, his voice dripping with mockery. The laughter followed, loud, almost scandalous. "She does everything, you know. Washes, irons, cooks, and obeys without complaining," he continued, as if he had just told the best joke of the afternoon. Jennifer stood still. She looked at the strange faces, the glasses in their hands, the looks that stared at her as if she were part of the decor. She felt her face heat up, her stomach churn, but said nothing. She lowered her eyes, gripped the towel tighter, and stepped away. "Looks like the joke didn't go down well," one of the men commented, stirring his beer glass. "She's like that, always sulking," Anthony replied without any concern. Jennifer went into the kitchen and leaned against the sink. She breathed slowly, trying not to cry. Her chest felt tight, her throat dry, and there was a bitter taste in her mouth. She heard the laughter continue outside, glasses clinking, loud music, but inside her, a different silence began to grow. When night fell and the guests left, the house was plunged into tense silence. She put her daughter in the crib, tidied the last dishes, and cleaned what she could, trying to postpone the inevitable. But she knew she had to say something. That night couldn't pass like the others. She entered the living room where Anthony was sprawled on the couch, still holding a beer can. "Why did you do that today?" she asked bluntly. Anthony didn't move. "Do what?" "Introduce me as your maid, in front of everyone, laughing, mocking, like I was a joke," Jennifer said, her voice firm but controlled. "It was just a joke," he replied without looking at her. "It wasn't. You know it wasn't. You humiliated me." He let out a long sigh. "You're exaggerating." "Exaggerating? You've been treating me like I don't exist for months. You come home late, don't even look at me, and today, that was the last straw," she said, feeling the emotion mix with anger. Anthony got up slowly, put the empty can on the table, and ran his hand through his hair. "Look, I'm not okay, I know that." Jennifer took a deep breath, felt her heart tighten, and asked, unable to hold back any more, "Are you cheating on me, Anthony?" He looked at her for the first time. "No, I made mistakes, I know that, but it's not cheating, it's something else." "Then tell me," she said, almost desperately. "Talk to me. Tell me what's going on." Anthony looked away again. "I can't. Not now." Jennifer took a step back. "You exposed me today, hurt me, and now you say you can't talk? After everything? Just give me some time. I don't know how to explain." She was silent for a few seconds, looking at him as if trying to understand a foreign language. "You're hiding from me, Anthony, and if you keep this up, you'll lose me." He didn't answer. He just turned, went to the bedroom, and closed the door behind him. Jennifer stood there for a while, body tired and mind racing. Something inside her had broken that night. It wasn't just sadness, it was the certainty that from then on, nothing would be the same. The next morning, Jennifer woke up earlier than usual. Her body still ached from the night before, but it was her chest that weighed most. She had slept little. Her eyes were swollen, and the silence next to her on the mattress, the same one for so many years, was colder than ever. She got up slowly, took the still sleepy daughter in her arms, and brought her to the makeshift crib in the living room. She sat there for a while, silent, staring at the wall, trying to organize the thoughts spinning non-stop. The pain of humiliation was still fresh, but now there was something else, urgency. She needed to leave that environment, breathe, understand what was left of herself. She went to the kitchen, grabbed a cup of coffee, and after a few minutes called Anthony, who was still in the bedroom. "Anthony," she said firmly, "we need to talk." He appeared at the door, looking worn out. He said nothing, just waited. "I'm going to visit my mother," she continued. "Today, I'll take our daughter. I need to think, I need peace." Anthony rubbed his tired face. "You're leaving?" "Not now, not permanently," Jennifer said, pausing to breathe. "But I can't stay here as if nothing happened anymore. Yesterday was too much. I've been holding on for a long time. I need a place where I can understand what I want, what I can accept, and what I can't anymore." He sat at the table without answering immediately. He seemed to be fighting with himself. "Are you serious?" "I am. I don't want to fight with you. I just want clarity. At my mother's house, I'll have silence and advice." Anthony lowered his eyes. "Your mother never liked me much. She always taught me to believe in love. She supported us when we decided to marry. Go figure. I'm not leaving out of hatred. I'm leaving for me," Jennifer said, eyes teary. He was silent for long seconds, then nodded. "Okay, go. I understand. Do you want to say something before I go?" Anthony looked up. He was visibly moved. "Just that I'm sorry. For everything. Maybe one day you'll understand. I'm not good at explaining now." "Easy." Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to hold back the lump in her throat. "Then let me go. I need this time. That's all." A few hours later, she was packing a small suitcase with her daughter's clothes and a few of her own changes. She took her documents, some saved money, and prepared the child for the trip. Anthony watched everything with a lost look, as if each of her steps was a warning that the end was near, even if unspoken. At the door, he held back tears. He touched their daughter's head and said with a choked voice, "Take good care of her, and of yourself." "I will," Jennifer said, gripping her bag strap tightly. "And one day, maybe, I'll come back, but not now." The road was long. The daughter slept in her arms, and the sway of the bus only accentuated the exhaustion accumulated over the past months. The countryside seemed even more distant than she remembered. Time passed slowly, and everything seemed different. Drier, quieter, harsher. When she arrived at her mother's house, Rebecca appeared at the door with a startled but welcoming expression. "My daughter. What happened?" Rebecca asked, opening her arms. Jennifer fell into her mother's embrace, unable to hold back tears. "Can I stay for a few days?" she asked, voice broken. "You can. Of course you can. This house is yours too. Come in. Tell me everything slowly." Rebecca prepared coffee and bread. Jennifer waited until her daughter fell asleep in the small room before starting to talk, and she talked, calmly, but with the weight of someone who had carried everything for too long. "He changed, Mom. After the baby was born, it was like he left inside. He started going out, drinking, coming home late. He didn't look at me anymore. Treated me like I was just someone taking care of the house. Yesterday he introduced me as his maid, laughed, made a joke, in front of strangers." Rebecca put her hand over her mouth, shocked. "He humiliated you like that?" Jennifer nodded. "And you still love him?" "I don't know. I loved him a lot. But now it just hurts." Rebecca was silent for a moment, then looked at her daughter with firm eyes. "You know how I was raised, how I raised you. Marriage is serious. It's for life. I said that 1,000 times. But today, I think differently." Jennifer's eyes widened, surprised. "I think no one should stay with someone they don't love anymore, or worse, with someone who doesn't respect them. You're my daughter, And you're a woman, and a woman should never be stepped on, not in the name of love, nor in the name of custom. Jennifer held her mother's hand. Thank you, Mom, for saying that. I needed to hear it. Are you going to get a divorce? I'll think about it. I need clarity. I just want to decide with dignity. Then think, my daughter. This house is a place for healing. That night, after Rebecca went to bed and the daughter slept peacefully, Jennifer sat on the old living room couch, staring at the wooden ceiling. Her head was full, her heart broken, but there was also a strange relief. For the first time in months, no one ignored her, no one belittled her. In the morning, with a clean face and her hair tied up messily, she decided she was going to ask for a divorce, not out of hatred, but out of respect. She had coffee silently with her mother, said she would return to the city that same day, that she needed to face Anthony. Rebecca simply said, "Go, be firm, be clean, be yourself." Jennifer left her daughter with her grandmother and headed back. The road now seemed shorter. She knew what she had to do. When she got home, Jennifer got off the bus with slow steps. The sun beat down hard, but she barely felt the heat. She carried only a small bag on her shoulders, but the real weight was inside. As she approached the house, her heart raced. She didn't know if he would be there, but she hoped so. She needed to look into his eyes. She needed to say what she had held back for too long. Anthony was on the porch, sitting silently, as if he already knew she was coming. His shirt wrinkled, his face worn down. When he saw her, he got up slowly, as if trying to prepare himself for a blow he already felt coming. "You're back," he said, surprised, with a hoarse voice. "I'm back," Jennifer said, stopping in front of him, "but not to stay." He swallowed hard, looked down for a moment, then looked at her again. "I imagined." Jennifer stood firm. "I needed to breathe, to think far from here, and I was able to see clearly." Anthony crossed his arms restlessly. "Clear about what?" "About us, about what this has become," she said, gesturing around as if pointing not only to the house, but everything between them. He sighed. "I know I hurt you, and there's no excuse." "There really isn't," Jennifer replied. "You made me feel invisible. I tried to understand, I endured, but you drifted away until there was nothing left but emptiness. And when I needed you the most, after our daughter was born, you weren't there." Anthony looked at the floor. "I was here. Physically, yes. But you disappeared inside, Anthony, and I was left trying to put the pieces together alone, pretending everything was okay while you didn't even look at me." "Najm," he bit his lip, clenching his fists at his sides. "I didn't want to hurt you, believe me. But you did, and badly, and what happened at the barbecue was the end. You reduced me to nothing in front of men who didn't even know my story, as if I were just a maid, as if what we lived had no meaning." Anthony put his hand on his forehead, as if trying to erase that memory. "I was a mess, Jennifer. Confused, doing everything wrong. I got lost. And you think I didn't get lost too? But I stayed. I fought. I cried alone every night trying to understand where you got lost. Did you even try to come back to me?" He hesitated. "I tried in my own way, a wrong way, I know. And I regret it, truly." Jennifer breathed deeply. "Then listen now to what I need to say." Anthony nodded silently. "I still feel something for you. I won't lie. I married believing it would be forever. I carried that like faith. And I still carry love for who you were. But today, I need to think about myself and our daughter. I need to show her what respect is, what real love is. And this isn't it." He rubbed his face, trying to hold back emotion. "Are you going to live with your mother?" "For now, yes. I need a place to start over. A place where the pain isn't in every wall." Anthony looked at her like he wanted to hold her for one more second. But he didn't move. "Are you sure?" he asked in a whisper. "I'm sure it hurts, but I'm sure." He took a step closer, stopped, and said quietly, "I won't ask you to stay. That would be selfish. But one day, maybe you'll understand everything. One day, you'll know." Jennifer didn't answer immediately. She just looked at him, eyes watery. "Maybe, but today what I know is that I have to go." Anthony lowered his head, and for a moment it seemed he would say more, but he gave up. "Take care of her. Take care of our daughter," he said almost in a whisper. "I will, and myself too." Jennifer turned and left the house without looking back. With each step, she felt the weight shift. It was no longer the weight of carrying something that didn't exist. Now, it was the weight of starting over. Back in the countryside, Rebecca welcomed her with open arms, as always. "Did you do what you had to do?" her mother asked. "I did," Jennifer said, and this time there was certainty in her voice. Life in the countryside followed its calm, repetitive rhythm. Mornings started early, smelling of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of the wood stove being lit. Rebecca tended the garden. Jennifer made sweets she sold around the neighborhood, and the girl grew up surrounded by love, stories, and respected silence. There were pains that time didn't heal, but they learned to accommodate without suffocating. Jennifer no longer expected answers or searched for signs. She had accepted the end as definitive, and within that, found peace. Months passed without any news. No letters, no calls, no messages. Anthony had disappeared from their world like a ghost who made no noise, but left marks in the corners of the house. Still, there were days when Jennifer woke with a feeling that something was coming. And it came. On a cloudy afternoon, while Rebecca was chopping vegetables and Jennifer organizing jars of sweets on the kitchen table, someone knocked at the door. It wasn't a neighbor's knock, nor a child's. It was firm, punctual, unexpected. Rebecca went to answer and soon called her daughter in with a strangely restrained voice. "Jennifer, come here, please." She wiped her hands on her apron and walked to the door. A man in a dark suit, serious-looking, held an envelope. It was a face she had never seen before. "Good afternoon," he said. "Are you Jennifer?" "I am," she replied, her heart already tight. "This is for you," he said, extending the envelope. "I'm here on Anthony's behalf." She held the paper, looking at the name handwritten on it. "What happened? Where is he?" The man didn't answer immediately. He just looked down, took a deep breath and said, "He's in prison." The silence was immediate. Jennifer didn't know what to say. "He asked me not to explain anything, just to deliver this personally," the man said. "Good afternoon." And he left. Jennifer went inside silently, sat at the table with the envelope in her hands. Rebecca watched from a distance, her face worried. "Do you want me to stay with the girl?" her mother asked. Jennifer just nodded. She opened the envelope carefully. The letter was long, the handwriting familiar. Her hands trembled even before she began to read. "If you are reading this, it means the day has come when the truth could no longer be delayed," Anthony began. "When I found out you were pregnant, I felt the world split between fear and joy. I wanted to give you everything, everything I never had. I wanted you to take care of our daughter without worrying about work, bills, sacrifices. But my salary wasn't enough. No matter how I calculated, it would never be enough. And then I made the worst choice of my life." Jennifer read each line with a tight heart. "I borrowed money from a man recommended by a colleague. At first it seemed simple, a quick loan, no bureaucracy. But the interest was unbearable. The threats started. Visits came, orders came, and before I knew it, I was driving for them, making deliveries, then bigger tasks, until I found out it was crime. that I was involved with dangerous people, but it was too late. If I refused, they would kill me, or worse, hurt you." Her hands trembled. I thought about running away, thought about disappearing, but I couldn't leave you, nor our daughter, so I started doing the thing that hurt me most, distancing myself from you, treating you badly, pushing you away. I thought if you hated me, you'd ask for a divorce, and that would keep you safe. Hating me was better than risking danger by my side. Jennifer brought her hand to her mouth, holding back tears. "That's why I humiliated you at that barbecue. Not because I believed it, but because I needed you to see me as a coward. And it worked. You left, and I cried inside, but also breathed relief. You were far away. You were alive. Now I'm in prison. I gave up everything, named names. I knew it was that or death. I'll be here for years, maybe decades, but it's the price I pay, not for making mistakes, because I made big mistakes, but for hiding the truth from you." Jennifer felt tears fall uncontrollably. "If I had been honest, maybe we would have found a way out. But I was scared, and fear makes a man become what he hates most. I still love you. I love our daughter with everything I am. And if I'm at peace now, it's because I know you're safe. That's enough." The last part of the letter seemed written with more strength. "Don't try to visit me, don't write me, don't look for me. As painful as it is, disappearing from your lives is the only way to keep protecting you. The men I worked for are still out there, and if they find out I'm in contact with you, they might come back. I don't want you to live in fear. I want you to live, to be free, to laugh without thinking of me. And maybe someday, if someone asks who Anthony was, you'll say, he was a man who made mistakes trying to protect what he loved most. Forgive me, not for getting lost, but for letting you carry this alone." Jennifer pressed the letter to her chest. She cried quietly. Rebecca appeared and hugged her silently. "It wasn't cheating, Mom. It was desperation," Jennifer said between sobs. "I know my daughter. Now I know." The following days were filled with silence and compassion. The pain gave way to understanding. Jennifer kept the letter in a wooden box, along with old photos and memories of happy times. She never hid anything from her daughter. When the girl was old enough to ask, Jennifer told the truth. "Your father loved you more than anything, and he made bad choices trying to protect you." "Is he in prison?" the girl asked. "He is, and he asked us never to look for him, for safety, for love." The girl looked at her mother seriously and said, "I understand. I'm not angry. I just hope he's okay." Jennifer smiled, holding her daughter close. Anthony remained in prison. He didn't send letters, didn't ask for news, but he wrote entire diaries, full of memories, thoughts, and wishes. Maybe someday someone would read them, maybe not, but he wrote as someone who still loves. Jennifer never remarried, not out of fear, but because she learned to live for herself. She worked, smiled, helped neighbors. She became a respected name, an example. She raised her daughter with freedom and love, taught her that loving is not accepting pain. And when sometimes she sat alone under the shade of the backyard tree, she remembered that love that once existed, not with longing, but with peace, because she chose not to sink with someone who had lost their way. And because she understood that becoming whole was the greatest act of love she could leave as a legacy. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give it a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.